Over the past 2 months, I've had to wrangle with how to describe Hitman's latest roadmap. The Season of the Wizard, like all of IO's recent offerings, is another celebrity-focused release, with a schedule that is filled with filler items, separated out challenges, and legacy elusive targets. It started on June 5th, 2026, and lasts until August 23rd, 2026. This video sort of turned into a recap of the roadmap instead of an overview of opinions, partly because of Microsoft's shenanigans with IOI, and I didn't feel like dogpiling on the company, kicking them while they were down, so to speak, and partly because I was busy making mods for Sonic Crossworlds, which I was paid to do. YouTube does not make me money, but I still wanted to voice my thoughts on the current roadmap because, frankly, I have thoughts about IOI's business model and roadmap releases that I need to get off my chest. As you probably worked out, it's not particularly great if you're a veteran player. Frightful shade of deja vu here. The best thing to come out of this roadmap is a bloody hack everything USB dongle. This thing. Which is very funny because for all the money IO spent on celebrities, a simple dongle to shake up the gameplay is what drew my attention the most. I'll explain more in due course, dear viewer, but for right now, welcome to the season of reused content. Again. As you could probably guess from my tone, this roadmap was a no-win situation for me. It features a mission that has been repurposed from a disgraced MMA fighter and was replaced with Wiz Khalifa, a rotation of legacy elusive targets that have long overstayed their welcome and should be permanent missions by now, the addition of 2 reskinned items and a grail in the garbage, repeats of 2 celebrity elusive targets that last a month each, with their respective DLCs being put up on sale. I'm increasingly starting to think that you made these limited time DLCs just to give you an excuse to make more money. Also, bomb-themed featured contracts, if you like those. The main event is, of course, the re-release of the Disruptor mission, now in its second iteration, called The Wizard, starring the aforementioned Wiz Khalifa, a rapper and general fighting enthusiast. For those who do need reminding, because this was a while ago now, the Disruptor DLC and mission was removed from sale because its target, Conor McGregor, was found guilty in an Irish civil court for sexually assaulting Nikita Hand. At the time, IOI, and really every other company, dropped their sponsorships and, well, pretended he never existed. This left the game with a DLC nobody could purchase anymore, and a bunch of impossible to obtain unlocks, and a mission lost to the ether. A really shit mission, but it's a mission nonetheless. Like with anything lost to time, fans wanted it back, and 2 years later, we have got it back. Hooray? If you played the Disruptor back in 2024, then the briefing and gameplay will not surprise you. In fact, a lot of the elements from that briefing are reused here. For all intents and purposes, it's pretty much the same. Tim Quinn wants to fight the wizard for attention, and because he's a damn fool. Your task is to kill the wizard before he kills Quinn. There is more backstory this time around. A bunch of Quinn's staff set up the contract to keep him alive, but is incompatible story-wise with the main game. And yes, I know the continuity of these missions is already quite iffy, but the mission can't take place post-Ark Society and pre-Freelancer, while Quinn is still the CEO of Quantum Leap. He is not. The actual gameplay of the wizard is the exact same as it was in the Disruptor. I'm not minimizing, I'm not simplifying. The whole gameplay loop hinges on the player fighting the wizard by taking Quinn's place as second. That is the intended gameplay experience by the developers. As I said a year and a half ago, it is linear, really easy, and the only attempt at gameplay variety is poisoning his drink during a fighting break. The only new addition to this is dressing as the Master of Ceremonies to guide the wizard to various places around the castle to, get rid of him. But the MOC is not allowed in most places on the map, so why anyone would do this, or follow this clearly convoluted set of events, is a bit of a mystery. You can also assassinate Wiz with the gem equipment, which, I will be fair, does require a bit of running around and setup to actually achieve. But the kill methods are hardly original. These same methods show up in the Splitter, itself copied from the Last Resort. I'll give credit, this would be unusual to not include at all, but it all still feels very secondary and shallow as kill methods go. As I said, token attempts at variety instead of different paths. And it has to be like this because of the limited time nature of the elusive target format. But that's it. That's all the gameplay variety this mission has. And Wiz Khalifa, despite being a rapper and no stranger to the microphone, delivers some of the mumbliest voice lines I've ever heard in a video game.
Mr. Taylor, the wizard, Graves.
Just call me Graves.
Very well.
Give me your best shot.
Voice actor, he is not. These clips sound like something from a first take recording, as if their voice hadn't warmed up properly. I think the only lines from him I thought were any good is the conversation with one of Byron Washington III's associates. Wow, that was a weird sentence.
Quinn? He'll go down. Don't worry.
He could suddenly invoke the right of second.
And get that Rock Hansen in the cage, I'll crush that Fugazi with my pinky finger. At least Quinn's got spirit.
Wiz is a bit of a mixed bag here. I've got nothing against the guy, but it does increasingly feel like this was rushed out the door to meet deadlines. To end on some positivity on the mission, I do like that they retroactively updated Tim Quinn to fit with his look from the Colorado storm shelter, and made Rock Hansen, his trainer, look more like a kung fu master instead of one of the raiders. The fake beard is a nice touch, that's quite funny. The fighting sequence was also extended to make it less linear and short feeling, and is perhaps the most surprising change they made to the mission. There's even an additional NPC, where a DJ will score your walk into the ring, which is also fairly funny. But the core concept and structure of the mission sabotages any good it has in it. Yes, there are changes, but functionally, it's the same mission from 2024 being resold, tweaked a bit, and repurposed. Really not much else to say here. This elusive target mission belongs in the upper F tier, very much like the Disruptor. It is not redeemable without extensive reworks. Emphasis on extensive. Of the celebrity elusive targets, this is perhaps the worst one. Well, second worst. Not the worst elusive target overall, I still think the Fixer is much more irritating, misleading, and generally not fun to play. Why it keeps being rerun, I don't know. Oh wait, I know why.
No way.
Huh? Try to carry to the diamonds? Retrieve diamonds? I thought he delivered the diamonds to him. Oh. Huh? I thought he...
So he's got quite a way to go to beat that mission. But it is not good. The Wizard is too simple gameplay-wise, too tutorialized to satiate veteran players like myself, and the other assassination methods it does have either feel obligatory or tacked on. The Wizard is not indicative of Hitman's sprawling world, multiple assassination vectors, and general stealth puzzle design philosophy. Like with the original, it exists to be an advert for the celebrity, more so than any of the others I played in the game. I can't help but think this DLC exists solely as a cynical cash grab. That might sound harsh, but I expect a lot better from them than this. They're 2 years to improve it, and the most they did is what I would consider the bare minimum. Greeking out Connor, adding another celebrity, which wasn't necessary, but whatever, altering the story to compensate. With the exception of some retexturing of props and one new NPC, which is actually a reuse of an unused NPC from Mumbai, it's otherwise the same. Also a conversation about Catboys occurs. I'm not joking. So I hope it was worth the publicity twice over, IO. All you had to do was compromise both your gameplay principles and your ethical principles. And as much as I've talked smack about Wiz here, I kinda feel sorry for him for being dragged into this mess of a mission. Outside of the dodgy voice line work, which can be improved in the future given more time, it's not really his fault for any of this, or how things have turned out. He's now associated with a terrible mission that could have been a lot better and played to his strengths. Instead, they used his talents as an excuse to repackage and resell a DLC, which I'll be honest, is kind of a dick move. And the worst part about all this? The original mission is not gone. The Wizard hasn't replaced the Disruptor at all. All they've done is hidden the old DTA contract for those who don't have that DLC. Functionally, they've replaced it, but in actuality, the original mission still exists for those who have it. So what was the point in making the same mission twice over and not replacing the offending content? I mean, I know why. The answer is because we can double dip and make more money that way. The Wizard is so similar and arguably better in the few things they did change that I'm not sure if older owners would want to play the Disruptor anymore. Why keep it around when this new DLC is so clearly meant to replace it? There were better ways this could have been handled, and at no point do I think IO's main rationale internally was to do it for the fans. As I said earlier, it's been 2 years since that mission. That's not a timeline that speaks to me as productive when listening to players who wanted it back. To be fair, if my company was not doing the due diligence and doing basic background research of a celebrity's past, I'd probably want to stay quiet as well. Of course, I'm sympathetic to the situation to some extent. If the devs get rid of the content entirely, then you face the controversy of not honouring previous purchases, removing content people paid for. It's understandably not something people are jazzed about. But continuing to do nothing was no better a solution. If anything, it's an unspoken endorsement for Connor and his mission. For one solution, the people who had the older DLC could have gotten the new one either at a discount or for free, while retaining the older items under different names that could be repurposed. That would have fixed the problem quite nicely, and you could re-release the old items for those who don't have them under a new DLC, which is the one thing you actually did do. The Disruptor items are a free bonus in the World Champion DLC, though they're not listed on the store pages. To be honest, I think IO should have just gotten rid of the mission entirely, excised Connor from the game, and got someone from their long list of VAs to voice someone generic to replace them. You lose the appeal of Conor McGregor, and the DLC's name would have to be changed, but you also wouldn't have a rapist in the game, which I think should be the important part here. But their resolution was not that. They waited for the dust to settle and then re-released the mission almost wholesale with minor cosmetic changes, as well as a bunch of new items to go alongside it. Players can argue that they're only honouring original purchases all they want, but the fact of the matter is, until that nasty cretin of humanity is gone from the game, then this problem will continue to hang over them like a shadow. It's not like you haven't removed and merged DLCs before now, so why does the company want to keep this idiotic situation alive? It feels so two-faced that the company is doing this, wanting to look good by getting rid of the controversial elements, yet still keeping the controversial DLC around in the background. No compensation for those who had the early DLC, and no removal of the man who couldn't keep it in his trousers. The most interesting aspect of this roadmap are the items, both paid and free. These range from silly, useless, and actually kind of interesting compared to previous roadmaps. This might be the most tightly packed roadmap for unlockable and purchasable items yet. Starting with the silly, we have the World Champions Pack, a DLC that was obviously done to tie in unofficially to the FIFA World Cup. It has a bunch of football kits, which do look fairly amusing. 47 strutting around in football gear is kinda strange, yet charming. And a coach kit is very obviously reused from one of the Colorado militia, albeit with a cap and different trousers. The safe house decor is for the wardrobe, which, if you like football, you'll probably like this. And you also get 6 items. Officially 6 anyway. As I said, you also get the Disruptor weapons too. These DLC items are the Air Crush 73, a subsonic airsoft pistol that requires reloading after each shot, but is silent, even right behind people, and seems to be very loosely based on the pistol Yusuf Dysek uses in the Paris 2024 Olympics. There's even a little engraving. That's quite cute. The ULLR Sport Rifle, which is a scopeless silenced subsonic bolt-action sniper rifle. The first sniper rifle without a scope, so that's kinda neat. The Tactician's Briefcase, which is a stamped brown leather briefcase with football strategies inside. A trophy named the Consolation Prize, which is a melee item that has an amusing plaque that incidentally needs fixing because the diffuse and normal map textures are misaligned. The Gold Medal, a fiberwire reskin that looks kinda nice. And the Trickshot Duck, a bouncy football pattern duck that is concussive. The Wizard's DLC items are fine. The Boombox, which is an audio distraction device that you can carry around. The tack in yellow is useless unless you play Freelancer loud, and the blunt knife is a reskin of the Ullman dagger, except you can poison food and drink with emetics instead of lethal. I wonder if this is why the poisoning mechanic broke. Oh yeah, the poisoning mechanic broke. How do you do that? The zigzag suit, which just hurts my eyes. As for the items drip fed to us over the course of the roadmap, we have the level 4 access dongle, which despite the confusing name is actually an extension to the camera, which allows the player to hack more items around the level, such as security boxes and cameras, radios, practically anything except doors really. That's a good thing, by the way. I am very happy the one sane person at IO doing game balance realised that giving the player a carte blanche keycard hacker is not the best idea. You still need the dongles in Chungking, you still need disguises or keycard hackers to get around Hokkaido. It sounds stupid, but the gameplay and puzzle design should always come first. The second item up for grab is the meat fork, and I'm surprised it's not used in Mendoza. It's a lethal melee akin to the knife, but worse because you can't use it as a knife. And finally, the blindfold suit, another reskin of the Witterton Creek suit, except with the addition of a blindfold, which, spoilers, doesn't work. So if you're thinking he'll do that grey vision thing from the similarly blindfolded musicians from the Ark Society, you're mistaken, despite the roadmap implying otherwise. I don't know, maybe a mid-patch will add that functionality. As for the Twitch items, which, to be honest, I'm getting pretty sick and tired of, 2 new items were dropped for this roadmap. The Vuvuzela duck, which is a kind of remote explosive and distraction device. That's actually kind of cool, makes the ducks have more of a purpose, so you can just put it on the ground and use it like a coin or an audio device. And the Purple Streak Lockpick, which is a reskin of the Lockpick Mark III in an admittedly nice shade of dark purple. This might be the only Twitch unlock that I will use unironically, because the purple is actually quite subtle and genuinely looks quite good. Both unlocks are useful, though I am still not a fan of adding new mechanics to items and then making them time limited like this. You did this with the Dragon Duck as well. So, not a great roadmap all things considered. Admittedly, it's one of the more content-rich updates in recent years, though that's not exactly a high bar. It's still littered with filler content that only exists to prey on FOMO and draw in new customers. Some viewers will scoff at this, saying that it's a wonder the game's getting support at all, and I'll counter that by saying with similar things have been said for 2 years now, and we know a new co-op mode is on the way, so let's stop pretending that this game is not a priority as a weak justification for crappy roadmaps. As a veteran player, time-limited content like this, such as the legacy elusive targets, is something I categorically do not give a single flying fuck about anymore. I basically do the celebrity ones out of obligation. I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. I have been saying pretty much the same thing for 2 years in a row now, and nothing about this content schedule has changed, despite all the problems that I've raised with it. People can blame 007 First Light and the development of it all they want, but I suspect that has a very minor role, all things considered. No, I blame IO's transformation into a wannabe AAA developer and publisher, being comfortable with the status quo and an unwillingness to change from a format that evidently makes them a lot of money. Celebrities and FOMO tends to do that. Quell surprise. They have the gung-ho business mindset that makes me hate modern AAA developers. Tackle the easy complaints and never fix systemic issues with your game until the last possible moment while just making more DLC on the side. Studios that refuse to back down from any kind of money-making deal. They had a crossover with State of Survival, a game that I genuinely forgot about because of how generic it was, solely to cater to the Chinese market. IO have a clear preference to cater to new players with flashy celebrity-endorsed DLCs, all the while ignoring the growing problems their game suffers from. It is fine to stick to a good thing, hell, it's good business to do that, but doing what's good for business doesn't necessarily mean it's good for the game overall. Hitman is trying to be Fortnite, with so many crossovers each year that it makes their game feel special to newcomers. But to paraphrase a character from one of my favourite shows ever, if all updates are special, then no update is special. There has to be downtime. There has to be lower deck updates, focused on the game itself, not solely designed to draw in new players with flashy roadmaps and celebrity endorsements. If you don't do that, then people will just leave because of it getting tiring and repetitive, particularly because how nothing changes. In fairness, this update and the hotfix to fix the aforementioned somehow allowed past QA poison issues did bring a long list of bug fixes, A suspiciously long list on both counts, actually, but that gets buried under celebrities if you do not call attention to it. Hell, 2 changes to the game were straight up forgotten. Several maps now have bananas, and Colorado now has a pipe on their water tower, ported from the PSVR 2 version of the game. They did mention this a week later, but that's not the same thing. That is the part of the studio I dislike. Not the people who are making the game day to day. All those devs are doing are being told what to do by upper management. It's the quarterly decisions which are hindering the game's future and present content lineup. And for all of RT, Combat Glue, Kleeman's and Travis's trying in the past to tell them this, it has stopped any real progress being made for the betterment of the game's future for, well, a decade. The fact the game has no offline scoring and generally limited offline functionality, the increasing game-breaking bugs that need to be hastily patched, the over-reliance on FOMO that Hitman 3 was actually kind of moving away from originally, and the WoW Part 1 edition causing no amount of confusion because of how misleading it is to have around. But that's all to do with money, and figures to please shareholders. All things time and again IO does not want to deal with until they have a monetary incentive to care, and they have shown numerous times that if they get paid to do something, then they'll do it, irrespective of their own reputation. They are not picky. They'll platform a known abuser in their game if it means they'll make a quick kroner or 7. When it comes to their finances and how they sell their game to their audience, they won't listen to outside feedback. I've made 2 years worth of these videos and they barely listened. The Sapienza edition was a good example of that. And I don't like ending these videos on such sour notes, but you repeatedly force my hand when there's so little positives to discuss. When you make an update for a game that feels so repetitive and ignorant of the current problems that broke one of the game's basic mechanics. A company that attempts to make money from players that feature missions that feel half-baked or cut down for the elusive target format. If you take anything away from this video, then let it be this. Mix things up. Add support for features because you care about the game, not solely because you'll get some business benefit out of it. People outside your studio care so dearly about this game, and to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting the best and getting mediocrity most of the time, well, it becomes no fun at all. Maybe I'm crazy for wanting that. That's why I don't play the game as much as I used to. I play and mod Crossworlds these days, not because Hitman is boring, but because the game updates are so underwhelming for me as a veteran player, and you make me angry more often than not. That's not a relationship I like with any studio. So think on your sins, and be better than you were tomorrow. I think we all want that. And with that, I thank you very much for watching. Please heed my words.